Good morning, YouTube. And what a wonderful, cold and snow-covered ground-filled day it is. So, I want to get started earlier today, but before I get on to the TNA Impact recap, I want to mention how really excited I am for February 5th. No, it's not an award show. No, it has nothing to do with wrestling. Has nothing to do with Disney. February 5th, the Nostalgia Critic is coming back. It's gonna be awesome. Doug Walker, of course, is the Nostalgia Critic, and you can find him at thatguywiththeglasses.com. TGWG, the guy with TGWTG.com, yes. It's a little too early for trying to figure something out like that. TheGuyWithTheGlasses.com, just use the letters. And basically, he reviews older movies. Movies that are considered nostalgic. Not necessarily good movies, mostly bad movies, or what he considers to be bad. Some of the movies he's reviewed, I personally enjoy. Obviously, one of the big reviews is for one of my favorite movies of all time, Moulin Rouge, which I still haven't watched and probably will not watch, due to the fact that I don't want to see one of my favorite movies of all time get skewered. But I'm excited about seeing the very beautiful Lindsay Ellis, which is the nostalgia chick, in the garb, the Lady Marmalade garb. So I have seen the stills and it looks awesome, but I don't want to watch the video because I don't want to think any less of Doug. And I wouldn't really think any less of him per se. It's just the fact that I don't want to see my favorite movie get skewered. So there's all that. So welcome back, Nostalgia Critic. And if you go to that website right now, you will see a video posted called The Review Must Go On. And I just totally spoiled the ending for you. Basically, Doug is coming back. Now, there's going to be 3 conditions for the Nostalgia Critic's return. Number 1, it's going to be every 2 weeks. So he can put a lot more into less videos, but the content's going to be better. It's kind of like what James Ralph, the Angry Video Game Nerd, did with doing monthly videos at Cinemasker.com, so he didn't get burned out. I think Doug might have been a little bit burned out, so that's the reason why he had to take that sabbatical. And at the end of To Boldly Go, he literally gone. He left. So, basically, he's back now. So that's the first condition. The second condition is what basically the critic decided he wanted to put in, because it was basically just the critic talking to Doug Walker himself, basically hashing out the decision to bring the Nostalgia Critic back as a character on TheGuyWithTheGlasses.com. So, the second one was something that I'm really interested in, and that's called, basically, there's going to be no cutoff date. It's not nostalgia. It's not necessarily going to be movies from the 80s, the 90s. No, if it just leaves theaters, technically it's nostalgic. So, basically, the first review on February 5th is going to be The Odd Life of Timothy Green. So, it's a very interesting movie to start with, but if you watch the video, you'll totally understand exactly why. He gets a bootleg copy of the DVD, and the cover art is absolutely hilarious, especially if you've seen the movie. I mean, if you haven't seen the movie, it's still funny. But basically, he gets a bootleg copy of the DVD and decides, after watching it, that he has to bring the critic back because there's so much stuff he has to say, and he has a love for reviewing movies again, and that's great for all of us. Not really great for my beloved Lindsay Ellis, but I think she'll go ahead and do the nostalgia stuff, and I think Doug Walker, as a nostalgia critic, will end up doing a lot more mainstream, newer movies, and just rip them to shreds. It's going to be really interesting to see when he gets to a few movies that I absolutely hate with a passion. So, Nostalgia Critic back. So that's awesome! And I just ported all my contacts over from my really crappy Pantech Impact, which was good. It was good for a while, but its time was done. And to my new iPhone 5. So that's all taken care of. Once I figure out how to get my ringtone on, I have it downloaded, but for some reason it's not wanting to sync up, so I'll have to figure that out later. But that's not what you guys want to hear about. You want to hear about what I thought about TNA Impact last night. And once again, we are at 4on1mania.com. Now, I'm going to do this a little bit differently. Now, I've noticed that there has been a lot of views of these TNA and Raw recaps. So, I'm going to put some more into it. I'm not necessarily just going to stare at the screen and just read back what I see. I am going to do that a little bit. But I'm also going to give my full knowledge of the sport and of the business. I am a student of the game, after all. And I am a former professional wrestling manager. So obviously, among other things, commentator, ring announcer, do the Reds music. Anyway, a mouseketeer of all trades. I've done everything except for referee. And I suck at refereeing, so it wouldn't work. But anyway, so I think I can give my knowledge, and I'm going to. And we're going to talk about what I like and what I hate about TNA. And you know, I love TNA. Obviously, I'm a very big supporter of total non-stop action. But when it comes down to it, I know a lot of people don't like it. So I'm going to review Impact, and I'm going to review Raw the same ways, and I'm also going to review the Royal Rumble on Monday. Not necessarily review it like match by match, well maybe, but I'm not going to give it an in-depth review. It's basically going to be a part of one ginormous review, which also involves the SAG fallout as well. So, basically we started off the show with, this is, oh by the way, real quick, if you didn't know this, you're obviously living under a rock, this was taped in advance, right before TNA went over to the UK for the UK tour. So for the next several weeks on Impact, you're going to see live from the UK. It's going to be in Manchester next week for Open Fight Night, but we'll get to that later. Now, we started the show off with Taz coming out, and basically, that was what we wanted to see from the very beginning. Taz came out, and he came out with everybody in Aces and Eights. There were 13 guys in the ring. Now, I might be off on a couple guys in the ring, obviously. Doc was there, my boy Luke Gallows, Devon, Mr. Anderson, and all the masked members of Aces and Eights. Oh, sorry, Mike Knox, I forgot about you. Anyway, so Taz basically said that he's talking about a higher power, and this higher power is going to be Eric Bischoff, but everyone already knows that, so it's no big deal, and awesome, anything would be a nice swerve right now. I like Aces and Eights. I think there's need to start ripping off more masks. I think you need to start identifying more of the members and do it fast, because I know a lot of TNA fans, and that's TNA fans, not WWE fans. TNA fans are losing steam on Aces and Eights. Same way that the WWE fans are losing steam on the Shield. So, gotta do something with Aces and Eights here, and you gotta do it now. Taz basically says he's bulletproof. Call him Teflon Taz, because when he signed his contract with TNA, he basically made it so nobody could touch him without legality being involved. So Taz goes back to the announce table, which hopefully that won't be where he stays. I mean, he will stay at the announce table, but, I mean, the heel commentator gimmick has been done to death. I don't like this. I really don't. I think Taz could be a nice mouthpiece for Aces and Eights and a great... Basically, Taz would be really good as a mouthpiece for Aces and Eights. He'd be a great addition to the group, and I just had a mind freeze right there. Anyway, he's a great addition to the group, and I think Taz would basically be a really good mouthpiece for the group. Now, if you go by the promo last night, wasn't the greatest. He kind of stumbled over his words a little bit. But it's not every day that Taz gets mic time anymore, so he's probably a little rusty, and I totally understand that. But I think Taz would be a good mouthpiece for Aces and Eights, and obviously, if you're not going to bring out the higher power, which should be revealed as Eric Bischoff, but, I mean, stranger things have happened, so we'll find out in the near future. So basically, we're going back, and we have to figure out right now that who the leader is going to be. Who is the higher power? And of course, Mike Tenay and Tom Kidley basically just lambaste Taz from the beginning, right when he gets on commentary, asking him who the higher power is, and Taz doesn't want to answer any questions. So that's fine. Basically, we bring out someone I despise very much, which is Mr. Spectacular, Jesse Goddard. Now, the funny thing is, I don't mind Spectacular as a character, but he's a little bit too over the top. The storyline with Tara would have been a lot better because, to me personally, Spectacular and Tara just seems forced, because it really seems like they really wanted Jomo and they couldn't get him signed, so they brought in Mr. Spectacular instead to work with Tara, because I think it was going to be Jomo and Tara, that was going to be the idea, and that's what you set up, but that's probably what you were supposed to think. And actually, TNA probably had it as Jesse all along. We'll see Jomo Sunday, most likely. But I'll talk about that on Sunday. Basically, Jesse brought out a Velvet Sky action figure. Tara was like, "What are you doing?" And basically was like, "I'm trying to motivate you." So, that was interesting. Kind of funny. I actually like the two of them together. They're not bad, really. I mean, I know I'll get a lot of heat for Jesse, and I don't like him overall, but he's kind of somewhat growing on me. It's kind of like Russell Crowe. I don't like him overall, but he's somewhat growing on me. And I'm not going to say same thing about Ed Harris. He's a goof. He really is. But anyway, Taz pretty much does his normal announcing gimmick, but it's also putting over the Aces and Eights as well. So it's kind of like, basically, he's a commentator, but he's also with Aces and Eights, so it's straight commentary until the Aces and Eights come out or they're mentioned in any way, and then he reverts back to a heel, which I've done this before on commentary, so I'd be a hypocrite to say it's bad, but it's kind of bad. Honestly, you really need to pick where you're going to stand. If you're going to be a commentator, fine. You're going to be a heel commentator, fine. You cannot mix the two together. You can, but it just doesn't work. It doesn't work every time, and a lot of the boys don't like it. Then we saw Velvet Sky get her Knockouts title match against Tara. My God. Since Velvet came back, the matches haven't been the greatest, and I'll be honest on that. And TNA brings the women's wrestling because the Divas matches are usually abysmal, because obviously you want to put people in the ring like Natalya, and you want to put people in the ring like, hopefully someday, Sarah Del Rey. You want to bring Paige up for him in NXT. You want to bring in people from the Indies, and like Jen Blake and Lufisto. I mean, people like that need to be brought up to from the Indies to the WWE so they can actually have a division. If they're actually going to do anything with it. If not, forget it. Let their contracts expire, send them to TNA, send them to Shimmer, send them to Japan. So they're not really doing anything with it. But Tara somewhat carried Velvet in this match. It wasn't as bad as last week. That match was bad. But, once again, more ring rust. The Velvet Sky got to work off some more TNA ring rust, because she hasn't been in action for quite a while. So, I don't really see many appearances she did indie-wise as a worker. Maybe do some autograph signings here and there and some photos, but I don't remember seeing her work much. So, she's going to have a little bit of ring rust to get off, and hopefully she can get it off soon, because they're building her as the top baby face in the division, which I don't have a problem with, because the crowd are totally behind her, and I can vouch for that at being in the Impact Zone when she returned, because I was actually there that night. But, basically, they need to build her up like that. I mean, Miss Tessmacher was the babyface of the division before Velvet Sky came back, so Tessmacher's kind of been pushed to the wayside, kind of like Madison Rayne had, which sucks, because I really like Madison Rayne in more ways than one. And, I really like seeing them do more with her. The fact she wasn't involved in the Knockouts Gauntlet to get this title opportunity was a travesty, but it probably has to do with her new career as a fitness model and doing competitions. So basically we get to the finish. Jesse almost misses his cue for the trip up, but basically this time we do the Ultimate Warrior Ravishing Rick Rude finish of the suplex, sweep the leg, hold the leg, and the pinfall where the heel gets the win. I've literally done this finish with Chris Khan before. It was, I believe it was it Chris Khan? I gotta try to figure out who he worked. And I remember it was XMCW, and I did this finish with Chris Khan. So, I haven't heard that name in a while. I guess you haven't, especially if you're around this area. But, we've done that finish before. Jesse made it somewhat work. Velvet, like, kicking intensely to try to get out of it. This match will not be anything that's going to steal the show. But I think these two do work together, and I think Mickie James is really good in this group as well. Same with Gail Kim. These are 4 people that can work. Now, Velvet can work, she just needs to get off some more ring rust. So, I'd give her some more matches against, like, the lower card and Knockouts talent, if you really want to call them that. And try to get off some more ring rust. And maybe give her a nice match with Madison Rayne. So, we'll do something with that. Or you can have her with pretty much anyone on the roster. I mean, you can have babyface or babyface match with ODB, but I don't really like that very much because it kind of splits the crowd, and that's not fun, especially if you're live. Not a great match, but a lot better than last week. Basically, Kenny King comes out, and I like Kenny King a lot, a whole lot. I really wish Rhett Titus would have joined him in TNA so we can have All Night Express reunion. But Rhett Titus is doing okay for himself in ROH, so we'll leave him teaming with BJ Whitmer, and we'll let him deal with that. So, Kenny King basically teaming with my boy Shima Zion, or as TNA would call him, Zima Ion. Nice, great way to take this exact name and just twist it around. Basically setting up for a match with Rob Van Dam and Christian York later in the night. We had Joseph Park come out, and I'll tell you right now, I love this gimmick. I love this gimmick a lot. He has come a long way, and I liked the Abyss character. It was really good to start with. It was a great TNA original gimmick, even though a lot of people said it was a ripoff of Mankind, and somewhat it was. And basically, it didn't matter because TNA had the big monster, and that was Abyss. And I worked with Abyss a couple of times. Interesting guy. But when it comes down to it, I like the Joseph Park gimmick because it's new, it's fresh, it's something that's not been done before. You have a lawyer that's actually wrestling, not a manager, a lawyer that's actually wrestling. So it's not a Clarence Mason situation. And I like the fact that he went back to OVW and he learned how to work again. That's really interesting. I like his messed up insider terms when he calls himself a Green Hornet. He says he's not trying to K-fab everyone. I just like it. I like it very much. It's very inside, but I like that sometimes. And I know it gets kind of lost in the crowd sometimes, but he's starting to really get over. And I really think there's money to be made with using Joseph Park. Not as a main eventer, that'll never happen. But a nice mid-carder. I mean, a mid-carder the crowd can get behind because he's already there. Basically, Park ends the promo with rendering his verdict. Said next Thursday, he will hold his court in the ring and he will get the W. And that's what he was talking about the whole time, was get the W. So then we did get our tag team match. Our X Division champion Rob Van Dam and Christian York against Kenny King and Shima Zion. Basically, the match went back and forth. Van Dam goes up for the 5-star. King crotches him up top. King goes to the second rope, elbow off though, and so bumps Kenny King off. Van Dam goes to the top. Shima knocks him to the floor. He tags in, goes for a swing DDT, gets thrown off. King comes off the top with a flying guillotine, and you like to call it the Buff Blockbuster. And Shima steals the pinfall. So this is not the last you've seen between these four superstars. And the X Division title is starting to become important again. Now, if you want to go back in history, last year, of course, Austin Aries gave up the X Division Championship at Destination X in order to get the title opportunity against Bobby Roode. And of course, he won the title. Unbeknownst to everyone, like, no one thought he was going to win. Everybody thought, nah, he's just going to lose to Bobby Roode because that's how TNA does it sometimes. But no, he didn't. He actually won, and he held the title for quite a while. And he was a great champion, because Austin Aries is a great superstar. Literally, and I like this combination between Aries and Roode, and I'll talk about them later on as we get to that part of the program. So, basically, Rob Van Dam, is he going to get an opportunity at Destination X? There's not really going to be a Destination X this year because of the way that it's going down to 4 pay-per-views and the taped pay-per-views, so I'm not exactly sure what that's going to do with that. It might be an Impact thing, that Rob Van Dam can give up the X Division title to get a world title shot against Jeff Hardy. But it shouldn't be against Jeff Hardy, it should be against, but I'll talk about that. But Van Dam and Jeff Hardy work really well together, so it'll work just fine. Basically, it was all about the egos of Shima and Kenny King, so that's fine. They're great heels. I like Kenny King better as a heel. I like him using the Burning Hammer. I don't know if he's going to use that continuously, but I think it's a good idea for it because it's not a move that's used in TNA. It's not a move that's used in the U.S. outside of the Indies. So I think that it would be a great idea for him to use the Burning Hammer. Basically, Bully and Brooke enter the Impact Zone, and basically they're talking about this was supposed to be the greatest night, the greatest night of our lives. And right before this, Taz powders to the back. Of course, he's hiding from Bully Ray. Big surprise there. And a basic gist of this promo was the fact that Bully Ray is going to dismantle every single member of Aces and Eights, including Taz, for ruining him and Brooke's big day. And that's fine, I got no problem with that. Basically, he wants Devon, and I think this time we're going to see a good Devon-Bully Ray feud. And I got no problem with that, and it worked really well for the ECW pay-per-view that's coming up in a couple of months. But here's the thing. You have to get Bully reinstated. So that's exactly what this promo was about, was trying to get Sting to talk to Hulk Hogan to get Bully Ray reinstated so he can go after Devon personally. I think this is going to be a nice little bloodbath. I think it's good because it's something we haven't seen for quite a while. And it's two superstars that actually know how to do a hardcore match, so I'm up for it, honestly. Bully basically said at the end of the promo he's not going to, that they need to sleep with one eye open. All the members of the Aces and Eights need to beware, and he will not sleep a wink until Aces and Eights are destroyed. Obviously, he used different terminology, but I'm going to use that on the YouTube channel, so there. So basically, we had that right there, and Austin Aries and Bobby Roode cut a promo, and now they're starting to become a really interesting tandem. I told you guys that it was going to happen, that Rude and Aries are going to become a tag team. They're going to go after Chavo and Hernandez. And that's exactly what this segment was setting up. They're basically deciding who wanted to face Hernandez. Aries was basically told he should do it because his speed and ability. And that's fine. Basically, Rude is right, and but he's the power guy of the group, and he's the longest reigning champion in TNA history when it comes to the world title, so he should take on Hernandez. So Rude counters and says Aries is the one that got the defeat, so he should do it. So they go back and forth, and Aries even admits to a small sliver of flukeness. So basically, they end up doing the match, and of course we're setting up Hernandez and Bobby Roode, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Chavo and Hernandez have had an okay run as tag team champions, but honestly, until they're going to build up another babyface tag team to go after the belts, and they really don't have any right now, they need to start putting teams together again. It's not going to really work, so they're fine. But the problem is Chavo and Hernandez overall are very bland overall, and they're going to turn the crowd, and they're going to end up cheering for Rude and Aries because they're cool heels. And that always what gets over, especially in the Impact Zone. The Impact Zone is smart Mark Central sometimes, and they can get over right there. Jeff Hardy, hype video, Jeff Hardy promo, basically says he hopes Chris Daniels makes the most of his opportunity tonight. He knows exactly who he is, and he will show the world just exactly who he isn't. So Bobby Roode comes out in his match with Hernandez. Of course, we go back and forth. A nice power match for a while. Hernandez end up going for the Tope con Hilo. Austin Aries runs down, stops him dead in his tracks. So he's arguing with Bobby Roode left and right. Chavo runs over. Him and Aries start brawling. While Hernandez is distracted, Roode sneaks up from behind, hits a bulldog for the pinfall. Surprising way to get the victory here, because the only people that can get over in this day and age with a bulldog was Dustin Rhodes. So, and obviously you want to go back, Barry Windham. But, and Rick Steiner could, but it was off the top rope, so it was a lot better than a regular bulldog. And a regular bulldog actually pinned Supermax. So, what does that say about Supermax? He lost to a regular bulldog. That's like when Shane Storm beat the dude with the elbow. Yeah, that's right. Shane Storm beat a guy with an elbow drop. Not a leaping elbow drop, not a people's elbow, not a top rope elbow drop. No, he literally dropped an elbow. 1, 2, 3. Dude just didn't kick out. Sorry. But anyway. So Roode and Aries continue to fight back and forth. So this is going to be the odd couple tag team. This is going to be the hell no of TNA. And that's fine. I got no problem with that because Aries brings a technical masterpiece. But then again, so does Roode. So Bobby Roode and Kane have absolutely nothing in common at all. So I don't know what they're going to do, but gimmick-wise, I think that's what it's going to be. The odd couple tag team is going to end up being Austin Aries and Bobby Roode right now. And that's fine. Basically, we recapped when Kurt Angle got attacked by Mr. Anderson, now of Aces and Eights. Angle came out and basically said he wants Ken Anderson, and he wants him right now to come to the ring so he can talk to him face-to-face, man-to-man. So Anderson comes out wearing his Aces and Eights beanie and his jeans and his boots and his Aces and Eights vest. So yeah, he's all decked out. And basically, the gist of the promo, Anderson decides that he's going to be fighting Kurt Angle next week. He's like, you really want to fight me? How about you fight me now? And he pie faces him, knocks him down. Angle gets the advantage. Right before the ankle lock, Anderson powders to the back. And Angle basically says, next week it's going to be a one-on-one match. Him versus Mr. Anderson in a steel cage. So yes, Manchester, England, you are going to get a steel cage match between Kurt Angle and Ken Anderson. And it's going to be awesome. Because there is a lot of animosity between the two. And it's going to be great. I'm going to be very interested in that. So, excuse me. So basically we go back to the clubhouse. Mr. Anderson telling the ladies of the evening, and that's what we're going to call them, to shut up. Because they were talking back and forth. Devon basically said, just relax, have a drink, just chill out, just don't grab a beer bottle because your wife will get angry. Ooh, shouldn't have said that. But anyway, he needs to have a battle plan, and that's exactly what they're going to try to do. So, we get to our main event. And you know, I've been waiting a long time for this. As everyone knows, and anybody that watched any of my TNA videos, I am a huge, and I mean a huge, Christopher Daniels fan. Now, when I went to Impact, I've never seen him work. Luckily, in December last year, I finally got to see Christopher Daniels. He was in a 6-man tag match, weirdly with Bobby Roode and Frankie Kazarian, against AJ Styles, James Storm, and Jeff Hardy. Great match, by the way. Awesome. Find it out if you want to see it. TNA Impact, December 6th, if you want to go back and YouTube it after you finish this video. But anyway, so we have a great back and forth match, because Daniels is amazing. He's an amazing heel. He's an amazing worker. He's an amazing talent. He is really the ring general of TNA. And he obviously is somebody that deserves an opportunity to run with the ball. Now, here's the thing. Now, we get to the finish, and we're going to talk about that real quick. Daniels hits Angel's Wings, 1-2 near fall, of course. Sets up for the BME, and of course, Hardy moves out of the way. Daniels lands on his feet, the spot that I pretty much called. Hardy goes for Whisper in the Wind. Daniels out of the way. Goes for a quick pin, hook up, 1-2, no, kick out. Daniels going for a superplex, reverse, top rope, sit out, front suplex, like a top rope gourd buster. Insane. Earlier on in the match, so we'll talk about that. Of course, Bacoli driver from Daniels earlier in the match. So that, I mean, the match was amazing overall. I thought these two work really well together. But basically, he goes for the pin, he goes for the suplex. Daniels gets whipped into Kazarian when he's setting up Angel's Wings one more time. Hardy hits the Twist of Fate, Swanton, 1, 2, 3. And of course, that's how it always ends. But TNA, you missed a golden opportunity. You knew Jeff Hardy wasn't going to be able to show up for the UK tour due to his extracurricular activities. So, needless to say, you had an opportunity to right a wrong and put the World Heavyweight title on Christopher Daniels, at least for a small time. I don't care if Daniels is a transitional champion or not, because when you think about it, Christopher Daniels has been there since day one. He has stuck with the company through thick and thin. When people left and went to greener pastures, or what they thought were, sorry Christian, basically you had Christopher Daniels, he's stuck in, he's stuck at it, and you should reward him. You should reward him with the World Heavyweight title. Now here's exactly what you do. You have Austin Aries and Bobby Roode, who were feuding with Jeff Hardy over the World Heavyweight title. That's fine. Now they're feuding with Chavo Hernandez over the tag titles, so they're out of the way. That's good. Kazarian is okay with being a manager extraordinaire right now, so that's fine. You don't really have hurting Kazarian by having him at ringside as the manager. That's where your interference comes in. Jeff Hardy can't go to the UK, so there's 3 options. 1, you put the World Heavyweight title on Christopher Daniels and you reward someone who deserves it, who has earned it, and someone who's going to run with it. 2, you don't do anything. You have Jeff Hardy win, retain, and he doesn't go to the UK, so for the Impacts in the UK, no world title matches, no matter what happens. 3, you have Aces and Eights jump Jeff Hardy at the end of the show and injure him so he can't go on the tour. If you answered number 3, congratulations, you can book TNA. Such a missed opportunity. And I'll tell you right now, it was a great chance back in 2009 when it was AJ Styles as World Heavyweight Champion. Daniels could have taken the belt off him and killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Now I want Daniels to take the belt off Jeff Hardy. Now, Jeff Hardy has not, that I know of, signed a contract extension yet. And a lot of people are still thinking he's going to go back to WWE and team with Matt and reform the Hardy Boys, yada yada yada. I don't think it's going to happen anyway. But, even if that, you put the belt on Daniels. You have a strong heel that can work with anybody in the company. Daniels can work with anybody, and you do something with that. You make it work. I like Bad Influence. I like Daniels and Kazarian as a tag team. They're fine as a tag team. I want to see Chris Daniels win a World Heavyweight title in 2013. This was the opportunity to do it, and TNA, you totally blew it. I do not put TNA under very often, not at all. But I think TNA missed the boat on this one and not giving Chris Daniels the world title last night. Or like a week ago when it was taped. But still, I saw these results. I'm sitting in the chat room at a SNS. I don't remember what show I was listening to. Maybe WNL. Could have been. It could have been the Open Book. I'm not exactly sure. But I remember reading the results. And I got really agitated because I was like, no, this is when Chris Daniels is going to win the title. No, it didn't happen. So, TNA, seriously, get your act together. You're not going to have your world champion on the show. You don't need to do an injury storyline, even though it gives some heat to aces and eights with Jeff Hardy. So you basically put another shrimp on the Barbie here, and you pretty much decide to use your heel group to go after everybody, not just baby faces. But you're going after the top superstar with the title. But I'm telling you, it's a lost opportunity, and you can do it again. And I think what you do, no, it's been done to death. I would say that AJ can help Daniels win the World Heavyweight title, and they could reform Fortune with Kazarian as a heel group. I wouldn't mind that. That would be fine, but the stuff's been done to death, so Chris Daniels just needs to win the World Heavyweight title. I don't care how it happens. Jeff Hardy could lose the belt, and I thought he would lose the belt, and then he'd just get it back at Lockdown in a cage. And that gives everybody the Kodak moment of Jeff Hardy hitting the swanton off the top of the cage on Chris Daniels. And you know Daniels will go up top for the BME off the top of the cage because he's done it before. So, or you do Ultimate X. I mean, you do that and have Daniels and Hardy just fly all over the place. It'd be amazing with a World Heavyweight title on the line. But no. That did not happen. And it was a missed opportunity. It was just excellent match. Of course it was, because it was Christopher Daniels and Jeff Hardy. And since Jeff Hardy has gotten back on the wagon, when it comes down to it, he's been really good in the ring. He's not sloppy. He's really good in the ring, and he's really carrying TNA very well. But I'm telling you, there was money to be made with Chris Daniels winning the world title. He could have been a transitional champion. After the Impact tapings, he could have dropped it again. That would have been fine when they come back to the U.S. He could have dropped it again. Or he could have kept him winning the belt till Lockdown, and on March 10th, Jeff Hardy could have got the belt back. But no, didn't happen. And basically, you don't set up any new challengers for the World Heavyweight title. You're not going to send Devon after the World Heavyweight title. You're not going to send Gallows after the World Heavyweight title. Not yet. Maybe eventually, but not yet. Mike Knox after the World title. Mr. Anderson's feuding with Kurt Angle, so he can't really do anything with that. So you paint yourself into a corner here, TNA. You really did. And I think that you can rectify this problem. And Chris Daniels can win the World Heavyweight title, and I think he will. Don't know if it's 2013. I hope it is. But I've gone on longer than I was anticipating to go on. TNA Impact, overall, I enjoyed the show, as I always do. Some minor setbacks here and there. I mean, the women's match, not as bad as last week, but still wasn't the greatest. I liked the main event. I would have given it about 10-15 more minutes to let it develop more. And I could care less about Bellator. I know it's your new sponsorship, but there doesn't need to be a crawl on the bottom of the screen basically saying, oh, by the way, there's 15 minutes till Bellator. So, who cares? Bellator can be promoted in 15 minutes. They need to focus on TNA Impact. Just drives me insane. But I have a lot more problems with WWE than I do with TNA. With most people would be the totally opposite on. But I'll talk about that when we talk about Raw and the Rumble this week. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you for enjoying. Wrestling fans, if you like this, then let me know what you think at Suro and Disney on Twitter. And you can find me on Facebook as well. So leave comments. Subscribe if you like these videos. And I'll continue to make more. Of course, we're going to go to my Royal Rumble predictions on Sunday. And for regular viewers, we got Plus and Minus tomorrow talking about SeaWorld. So that's pretty much where we got from there. I'm going to get off here, have my breakfast, finally. And I'm going to listen to the WDW Today podcast for the day. And until tomorrow, that's all I got to say about that.